Mes chers amis, je me présente. My name is Marguerite Fournier, and I was born in 1735 in the small settlement of Trois-Rivières along the St. Lawrence River. As the daughter of a prominent fur trader, I witnessed firsthand how the great conflict between empires destroyed not just armies, but the very fabric of colonial life. This is my account of how the French and Indian War transformed our world, written in the autumn of 1765, when the consequences of that terrible struggle still echo through our empty trading posts and abandoned homesteads. Before 1754, when the first shots of war rang out in the Ohio Valley, my father, Jean-Baptiste Fournier, operated one of the most successful trading ventures in New France. Our family had spent 3 generations building relationships with the Huron and Algonquin peoples, learning their languages and respecting their customs. Each spring, I would watch from our warehouse as dozens of canoes laden with beaver pelts and other furs arrived from the Western Territories. The sight of French traders and native hunters sharing tobacco and striking deals was as natural to me as breathing. That all changed when the British began pushing aggressively into the Ohio Territory. By 1755, Governor-General Vaudreuil was calling for all able-bodied men to defend our borders. My father, though past fighting age at 48, was forced to convert his trading vessels into supply boats for the French forces at Fort Duquesne. I remember the day he returned from his first military supply run, his face aged by what he had seen. The British are not just fighting for land, he told my mother that night. They want to destroy our entire way of life. He was right. By 1756, when Britain formally declared war on France, our trade networks were crumbling. The Iroquois Confederacy had largely sided with the British, cutting off our access to the rich fur regions west of the Appalachians. Our longtime Huron allies were caught between opposing forces, their villages often burned by whichever side suspected them of aiding the enemy. That year, our family's income fell to less than a quarter of what it had been just 2 years earlier. The war's economic impact reached far beyond the fur trade. In 1757, as British ships blockaded the St. Lawrence, basic supplies became scarce in Quebec. I watched my mother, Marie-Claire, transform our garden into a source of not just herbs, but vegetables to feed our neighbors. She taught other women how to preserve food for the winter and stretch dwindling supplies of flour and salt. When the British raids intensified in 1758, we took in 3 families who had fled from frontier settlements, sharing what little we had. The darkest days came in 1759. The British siege of Quebec brought commerce to a complete halt. Food prices soared to 10 times their pre-war levels. I recorded in my diary how a single loaf of bread, which had cost 1 sol in 1754, now cost 12. Our family survived on our savings and my mother's resourcefulness, but many others were not so fortunate. I still remember the faces of children gathering at Ursuline Convent for their daily soup ration. When Quebec fell in September 1759, followed by Montreal in 1760, the economic devastation was complete. The British immediately dismantled the French trading system, redirecting all commerce through their own merchants. My father, like many French traders, found himself frozen out of the business he had spent his life building. The final insult came with the Treaty of Paris in 1763, which formally ceded New France to Britain. Many of our friends chose to return to France, but we remained, determined to adapt to the new order. Now, in 1765, I helped my father maintain his small general store in Trois-Rivières, a humble replacement for his once prosperous trading enterprise. The British authorities have begun implementing new policies to regulate trade and settlement, and I spend my evenings teaching English to French merchants who hope to survive under the new regime. My mother still tends her garden and helps the poor, though now she must do so with British permission. The war taught me that empires may fight over maps and treaties, but the true cost of their ambitions is paid by ordinary people. The British colonists to the south are learning this lesson now, as London attempts to recover its war debts through new taxes and restrictions. I hear whispers of growing unrest in Boston and Philadelphia. Perhaps they will remember how the French and Indian War not only reshuffled the power of empires, but also shattered the lives of thousands of people like us, who had built our world on trade, trust, and the delicate balance of cultural exchange. Je me souviens. I remember. And I write this account so others will remember too, how a war for territory became a war against prosperity itself, and how the quest for power destroyed the very wealth it sought to control. Qu'ils se souviennent de notre histoire. N'oublions jamais que le véritable coût de la guerre ne se mesure pas simplement en territoire gagné ou perdu, mais dans les vies de ceux qui doivent continuer à vivre dans son sillage.